Listen or you will be exterminated!
Welcome to the download of the Graham Norton radio show. If this is your first time, have you chosen a good one? I mark the 50th anniversary of the world's longest running and, I'm told, most successful sci-fi show, direct from the Doctor Who celebration in London. I catch up with Time Lords past and present, and have a natter with some of his favourite time-travelling companions. Saucy. Plus, Marie McCurlin remembers 10 special days of the Doctor. Stand by. Let's see if this download is bigger on the inside as well. Right, throughout the show, I'll be catching up with some of the famous faces who have appeared in Doctor Who over the years. But right now, I am joined by the current Doctor Who and his companion. It's Matt Smith and Jenna Coleman. Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Hello,
Hi.
good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming.
That's cheered up the Motley crew. They were looking very glum till you showed up. They were like, really, that's it? So, now, were you here yesterday?
Yeah, we were here yesterday all day, and we had some good panels and stuff, and we did some photos. It's been fun. Celebrating all things
But
new.
it's not a convention, it's a celebration.
Yes.
Weekend.
It's a celebration
That's
weekend.
what they tell us.
And have you filmed your last episode now?
Yeah, shot, filmed,
So you-
regenerated into the
So
other
that's
guy.
it, you're done now.
I'm out.
And-
dumped.
Yeah.
Well, no,
you've been done.
because it's kind of weird that, Jenna's being left behind.
I know.
Exactly. Left.
Yeah, it's sad. And you know what compounds it is coming to these events, and you realise the enormity of the thing that you're leaving behind, and the sort of, all the fans and everything. It's sad. It's a sad thing, but that's what happens. The show goes on.
The show, that is the Doctor Who is
Yeah.
bigger than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. Yeah. The show is the star. You know?
Yeah. And was it moving, or were you just like, that moment when you kind of think, oh, that is my last ever scene? Did you get a bit teary?
I actually did. Actually, me and Stephen Moffat and Marcus Wilson, who are men not prone to emotion in any real sense, actually showed some emotion, which was, revealing.
That's the last shot. You were hung kind of by your trousers, right?
By my crotch, I was hung up, but it was quite a sort of
Really undignified.
Yeah.
Last shot.
Because when you're
Easy
on
to
a
cry. Easy to cry.
pretty much, yeah.
And when are we going to see that? Is that the Christmas Day
Christmas
one?
Day,
Yeah.
that's Christmas Day, and
And
then today we have the Day of the Doctor, which is the 50th one.
And Jenna, have you started filming with Peter yet? No.
I've done the regeneration scene, so the first scene with Peter when he arrives.
Okay.
I've been told to hold this really close to my mouth. the
You are doing a
microphone, which is
very
why I
good
look
job.
Very strange.
Yes. Yes, it's very odd looking, but we won't dwell. It's on radio. Now, because I know nothing, I didn't realise that you were in Doctor Who before you were the proper companion.
Yes, I came in when Karen and Arthur were still the companions and played a opera-loving, souffle-making Dalek.
But then you died.
And then I died.
Yeah.
Now, was that then just kind of Stephen Moffat met you and he thought, oh, she'd be a good companion?
No, he's cleverer than that. He whilst he was casting the companion, he'd already written the part and then came up with this genius plot and was like, let's have the new companion as Oswin that I've just written, and then pieced it all together as kind of like the series arc of the Impossible Girl.
Wow. And of course, you've already moved on. Sorry, I glazed over then. I didn't understand any of that. So, Matt, you've already moved on. You're in a musical.
I'm in a musical for my sins, singing, doing American Psycho. Yeah.
At the Almeida. Is it sold out already?
It has, yeah.
And is it going to be these people? Or is it going to be all the Doctor Who fans?
I don't know if any Doctor Who fans
It's
have got
sold
tickets.
out. It's sold out.
Have any of you got tickets? No.
They can't hear us.
No. Oh, really?
No, they're just staring at people talking. They can't hear a word we're saying.
Really?
No, because we're just talking like normal, but there's no speakers. So they're just looking at this now.
Genuinely?
Yeah, genuinely, they can't hear what we're saying.
Can you not hear what we're saying? Oh, sorry, old boy. Oh, sorry, chaps. I thought you were a little quiet.
That's why. They're trying to hear. They're craning. It's like they're outside a door listening.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
But I told them to get their phones out and they can listen to it on the radio.
Yeah. Stick on Radio 2. Get a bit of Norton on.
They're listening.
Oh, yeah, look, they've got it on. Well done. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and in American Psycho, because in the movie, there was a lot of the nakedness.
Oh, yes. I've been having to go to the gym and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I don't know how naked I'm going to be, but...
You'll decide on the night.
Yeah, well,
It opens quite soon. You must know.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's pants.
Okay.
It's just pants.
Yeah, a designer brief.
Yeah, a designer brief, a
Lovely.
tighty-whitey.
No, that's good. That's good enough.
Yeah.
That's all they need.
Yeah.
And Jenna, how does it? Looking forward, how do you plan it? I mean, are you giving yourself a couple of years? You know.
Oh, before I leave.
Well, you just leave. Nothing happens to you.
I don't regenerate.
You no regenerate. You just die.
Yeah.
Die. Go shopping. Yeah. What happened to her? So, have you thought about it? You must have thought about it, particularly with this one leaving.
No, not yet. Well, Matt was leaving as I joined. So no, I haven't.
Nothing personal.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't know yet. I suppose I know I'm in for the next series with Peter, and then take it from there.
All right, listen, the two of you, I know you've got to go to panels, you've got to pose for 1,000 pictures, well, 8,000 precisely, and sign a lot of autographs. So thank you very much for joining us on this very special day.
Graham Norton, Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, November the 23rd, 1963. And Doctor Who arrives on BBC One. An estimated 4.4 million viewers are watching.
Let me get this straight. A thing that looks like a police box standing in a junkyard, it can move anywhere in time and space?
Yes. Quite so. Doctor Who's first story, written by Anthony Coburn, stars William Hartnell as the First Doctor and Carole Ann Ford as his granddaughter, Susan Foreman, and also introduces Susan's teachers, Barbara and Ian, who would become the Doctor's first companions.
But it was just a telephone box.
Perhaps.
And this is your grandfather? Yes? Well, why didn't you tell us that?
I don't discuss my private life with strangers.
Things to note. The Doctor's London address is shown as 76 Totters Lane, belonging to I.M. Foreman.
There isn't anything there. It's just an old junkyard.
The Doctor is seen smoking a pipe in this story, but is never seen to smoke again on screen. Good for you, Doctor.
Save the day. The day of the Doctor.
Back at the XL, it's time for our next guest. He is the man who knows Who more than most. Writer, executive producer, and Doctor Who showrunner Stephen Moffat is here. This must... What, oh, yes? A cheer.
Oh, my family's in.
A mighty roar from the crowd.
Yeah.
And this must be an extraordinary day for you.
It's a terrifying and intimidating day for me. Do you think we've overhyped it? Is there a danger?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Well, good. No one's seen it.
But now, so I was talking to David and Matt on the television show last night.
Yes, I saw that,
about the episode.
It's radio, it must be my interview.
Matt was just here. What can you tell us about tonight? Because there's a lot of discussion about what way the other Doctors are being used in the episode.
Well, you know, we've got this far. We've got this. We've actually got to the anniversary day without it leaking. So I think I'm going to say nothing about tonight. Although I might personally leak the episode. I was thinking I might upload it to YouTube myself.
Do it!
At 16 minutes past 5 when it should be on, because that's actually when it went out the first time.
Oh, no, were you annoyed now that it's not going out at exactly the right time?
I'm a Doctor Who fan. I am annoyed if people look at me.
And, I mean, how much pressure did you have writing this? Because people, you know, it's the 50th anniversary episode. So was there a lot of...
The pressure at the time writing and making was all about how difficult it was. It was a hugely demanding piece of television. It really, really is. And difficult to coordinate in about a million different ways for reasons you'll be seeing later tonight. But the pressure of it being the 50th anniversary sort of started about a week ago. And you start thinking, oh my God, it's going to 94 countries now.
94 countries.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, because obviously you have to please the people here, sort of the 4,000, 8,000 die-hard fans who know it inside out.
Yes.
But you've also got to please people like me who like Doctor Who, but, you know, I just want to watch...
But have not made that leap yet to being a die-hard fan.
I just want to watch a happy hour of television.
Hour and 15 minutes, thank you very much. Don't you go quitting early.
I hope my Sky Plus has got it all.
Yes. Well, to be honest, the fans, Doctor Who fans are very, very literate about television. That's the truth. They know that the show must be aimed at the mainstream audience. They do, because what we as Doctor Who fans want is for it to run forever, in which case we want millions and millions of people to watch it, and we want to go around those millions and millions of people saying, but you're not watching it properly because you don't know all the facts about Tom Baker.
Hey, now, even I have realised that there's a lot of interest, and people have, texting and emailing in, a lot of interest in why why you brought back the Zygons, last seen in 1975, I believe.
For no better reason than they're really cool. They only were featured in the original series once, as you correctly say, in Terror of the Zygons. It's a brilliant monster design, which we just recreated as exactly as we could. And Neil Gorton, who makes our monsters, was desperate to bring back Zygons just because it's such a good design. So for that reason, really.
Because one of the fans were saying that they thought they were back because David Tennant had said they're his favourite monsters of all time.
He did indeed. And that, I think I might have been part of it. I mean, he was already up for it. I remember sending him a text saying, I've just written a scene with you and a Zygon. And he went, oh, great!
And because was it hard to talk him into coming back? Because, it is such a kind of a weighty mantle on your shoulders as an actor.
Yes, you think about David, he's one of us. He's one of the Doctor Who fans. Listen, every time I see David for a drink or anything, I always have to show him on my iPhone all the monsters we're working on. Because he demands Doctor rights. He says, okay, man, what's he got? I mean, he demanded to see Matt Smith's costume before anyone else. He just said,
really?
I want to know what he's wearing.
Wow.
Purely as a Doctor Who fan, because he's like that.
And, of course, a big decision, the new Doctor,
yes.
Peter Capaldi.
Yes.
How hard or easy was that?
Well, it was kind of weirdly easy because I was aware that Peter Capaldi was three things. He's an utterly brilliant actor, a national treasure, beloved by the audience already, and a Doctor Who fan. So it was. Imagine if history went this way and nobody ever asked if he'd be the Doctor. Imagine we never thought to ask. And I thought, well, let's try. Let's see if he'd actually do it. And boy, would he! Yes, he was really very excited about being the Doctor.
Wow.
So that's it.
Because a lot of people thought that this might have been the time to have a female Doctor. Could that ever happen, or is that the
dialogue is in there?
Ripping up time?
No, it's not at all. It's absolutely established as part of the continuity. I've been feeding it in myself as often as I can that the Doctor can regenerate into women. In the little Paul McGann episode we just did, it's an option for him that he could regenerate into a woman. So it absolutely could happen. It didn't happen this time, principally because I had that conversation with myself. What if nobody ever asked Peter Capaldi, and we never got to see what that would be like? Wouldn't that be awful?
And very quickly, Maria in Durham wants to know, would it be possible, maybe for children in need or something, that Doctor Who would ever meet Sherlock?
Do you know how many times I've answered that question?
Their heads would explode.
I'm not sure how the Doctor and Sherlock would get on, just not very well, I think. Oh, there's somebody else in the room who's clever. I hate that. It would. I don't think it's going to happen, in all honesty, but you never know. The others are grumpier about it than me. I'll be honest. Everyone thinks it's me that stops it. It's everybody else on Sherlock and Doctor Who that's against it. I do it, and I'm saying this now because I'm such a tart. I do anything that I think people would like. But the rest of them, you blame my wife and Mark Gatiss and Matt Smith and blame that lot. It's not me.
Well, you're a very nice man and you showed up today. Thank you very much for helping us celebrate the Day of the Doctor. And speaking of important days, here's another one.
Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, December the 28th, 1963. And the Doctor, played by William Hartnell, meets the Daleks for the first time in a story written by Terry Nation. Although a Dalek's plunger, or manipulator arm, was shown the preceding week, it isn't until the second episode, The Survivors, that audiences get to see a complete Dalek on screen. Their famous catchphrase, "Exterminate! Exterminate!" is first used in the fourth episode of the story, as the Doctor and his companions escape. Set on the planet Skaro, Doctor Who's second serial cements the series as must-see TV. The conclusion of the story attracts over 10 million viewers. Things to note. The word Dalek can be found in the Oxford English Dictionary. The Daleks starred in a stage play called 7 Keys to Doomsday, which ran at London's Adelphi Theatre in 1974. Daleks can go upstairs, just not very fast.
But now it literally is Doctor Who. Forget the Doctors, because I'm joined by two fabulous companions, Katy Manning and Louise Jameson. So first of all, Katy Manning, when were you an assistant? Who was your doctor or doctors?
I was an assistant in 1970. I'm not good with dates. I'm quite likely to get this wrong.
A while ago.
A long time ago. 1970 to 73. And I worked with John Pertwee. But I also got the first sort of 3 Doctors where they all regenerated. So I got Pat Trout and William Hartnell, John Pertwee, and then later Matt Smith.
Yes, of course, they brought you back.
Yes.
So, Louise, when were you, and who was your who?
I played the character Leela in 1977, and my doctor was Tom Baker.
Oh. Now, why is Tom Baker sort of the Holy Grail doctor?
Well, why is he? I mean, he's so charismatic and extraordinary and bit barking. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes, you are. We're meeting him later.
You'll tell him I said. Tell him I said that. But also, I think I'm right in saying he played the Doctor longer than anybody else, so he's got more kids that have grown up with him than anybody else.
So here's the thing, Doctor Who, it doesn't go away. I mean, you're still involved in it. You still do the audio. They're not audio books.
Big Finish.
Yeah.
Big Finish audio dramas.
Yeah.
And we work for Big Finish a lot, but mainly the Doctor Who stuff. But we've also done, other dramas and so on with them. They have a stall here. And
does those stories kind of run in conjunction with the main Doctor Who stuff?
Well, yes, but you can't see us, so we can be back at the age that we were when we did it.
And do you do it with your doctors, with your original doctors?
Yes, we do it with our doctors, and we do it in costume.
But I actually have to play my doctor. So putting his costume on every time I play him, no. But I actually play John Pertwee, I play the Brigadier, I play myself, and usually monsters and various and assorted creatures as well. It's cheap.
And of course, Doctor Who has been going, since you were in it in the 70s. It's never gone away. Have you always embraced it? Have you always been happy to show up at events like this?
Oh, I'm so grateful. I mean, the Doctor Who fans are the loyalist fans in the world. They're turning into my pension, apart from anything else. I mean, I'm absolutely thrilled. And of course, it did go away for a bit, and it's the fans that brought it back. It's the loyal fans that are kind of running it now,
and with all the generations of fans that we've got now, I mean, it's just incredible. You've got these little tiny ones,
I know,
and they're watching the old black and white ones and things like, and the very early ones, and they're absolutely loving it. Without the fans, I mean, quite frankly, and to bring it back, and Russell T Davies, who of course, did such a brilliant job of bringing it back. I mean, wonderful, wonderful.
People have been texting in questions and things, because people know more than I do. Anna in Sevenoaks wants to know from Katy, why did you choose to leave Doctor Who? Did you choose to leave?
Well, it was my second job, and I'd sort of been in it for 3 years, that sort of thing. And I sort of felt that I needed to go, but at the same time, I think it's a good idea to change the assistants periodically, because then the Doctor has a different way of reacting rather than, hello, yes, Joe's just tripped over a rock, we know what's going to happen here. I think it's a good idea to change the companions periodically.
Ursula in Fort Lauderdale asks Louise Jameson, if you could have been another Doctor's companion, which one would it be?
That's such a hard
Isn't it so? Oh, Ursula.
I think I could be Peter Capaldi's, and there's still an opportunity.
Still working. Yeah, she's back.
If that's the case, I want to be the other side. So he has two companions who can think as one.
What else have we got here? How would you describe the impact of Doctor Who in your life? Do you still get recognised? That's from Jerry from Sheffield. I'll ask you both of that. Do you get recognised in the street?
Yes, absolutely. Rather flatteringly, given that I'm, now 62 and was 26 then. Thank you. Bang on cue. Hurrah.
Yeah.
Brownie points. And was 26 then. So, yes, I do. But like I say, the Doctor Who fans are so loyal, and they know more about the show than we do, to be honest.
And what about you, Katy?
Well, when I get out my Freedom Pass, I'm 67. When I get out... Yes. Could you make that one bigger than hers, please? Thank you.
And the people go, wow, you were the companion.
So, when you're flashing a Freedom Pass on the bus and things like that, they go, oh, And I was, playing a sort of an 18, 19-year-old companion.
Wow. And now today, so what's your involvement today? Are you just wandering around pressing the flesh?
No.
Oh.
Well, I am.
We will be autographing, there'll be panels, there'll be photographs, and there will be some mingling, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm really surprised at the range of people here. In that I thought it was all going to be people in scarves and bow ties, but actually there's some regular-looking people here.
Can I just say, something that's amazing about Doctor Who is that Russell T Davies, Stephen Moffat, all these amazing people that went into it, right, all watched Doctor Who when they were children, and it spurred them into going into writing, directing, performing. It's had an amazing effect nearly all the people we work with have been fans of Doctor Who's. So you've got this huge, you're working with the director and he'll suddenly come up to you and say, by the way, I'm a huge fan, and then get on with the work that you're doing.
And as you, because you're at these things, you meet everybody. I've been really struck that everyone has all the people who've been in it remember it fondly. No one's kind of running to the hills, kind of going, stupid program ruined my life.
I think Doctor Who has almost single-handedly made geekdom fashionable, because you had to be a bit of a closet fan back in the day, but now it's a really fashionable thing to be.
Well, listen, I'll unleash you both. There they are, they're the wiles, they're out there. They want to meet you, they want to see you, they want to have photos.
I'm sending my plastic figurine to go and do the work from now on in.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much, Graham.
Thank you.
Bye.
Lovely to see you.
Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, October the 29th, 1966. And viewers say goodbye to the first Doctor in the story The 10th Planet, written by Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis. 7.5 million viewers are watching. After 134 episodes, William Hartnell's Doctor turns into Patrick Troughton's.
It's far from being all over.
I must get back to the TARDIS. Immediately.
The process we now know as regeneration isn't given that name until the 1974 story Planet of the Spiders, which starred John Pertwee. The 10th Planet is also significant because it sees the debut of one of the Doctor's most feared enemies, the Cybermen.
Excellent.
Things to note. William Hartnell doesn't appear in Episode 3 of The 10th Planet because of ill health. Episode 4 is missing from the BBC archives, but has recently been animated for DVD release. That was actually a very good one, I remember that.
The Doctor has been located. He is with Graham Norton on BBC Radio 2.
Backstage now with Doctor number 6, Colin Baker. Hello, Colin.
Hello.
So now, what do you imagine your involvement in this weekend will be? Is it just a lot of signing autographs?
I think it's joining in the celebrations, really. Yes, it will involve signing autographs, and it'll involve being asked questions, not dissimilar to questions I've been asked before, but one will try and find a new answer for them. I've decided to give a different answer every time. So if they say, who's your favourite monster, each person will get a different answer. I think it's more interesting that way.
And are you the only Doctor who is in the series not as a Doctor?
Until Peter Capaldi came along, I was.
Oh, yes.
Because Peter Capaldi has been in it once or twice, I think, already. But until he bursts onto the screens, I was the only one who's been in it before, in another capacity, in an episode of Peter's.
And now your reign as the Doctor is famous for this big gap. The 18 months where people kind of thought we've lost our Doctor. Did you think you'd lost the gig? Did you think it had gone away?
I just didn't know. Michael Gray came along. He was on record as not having liked the show before he even came to the BBC. I remember him being interviewed on London Weekend Television saying he thought the BBC was stuck in a time warp, producing tired old rubbish like Doctor Who, and Come Dancing was the other one he had a go at. So it was not unexpected when he arrived there that he cancelled both shows. I mean, that's my bat, my ball, you can do what you like, can't you? But the reaction was so instant to the cancellation that I think the retraction came quite soon afterwards, that it was just a hiatus and it would be coming back.
Because there was a proper big campaign, Save Our Doctor.
Yes, there was. It was some of it was a little ill-judged. There was a record released, which might have been better had it never seen the light of day, which I was press-ganged into taking part in. But, yeah, there was a huge campaign about bringing the Doctor back. I mean, it was extraordinary. Apparently he went on a skiing holiday, and as he was skiing down the slopes at Ice Cap on Mersey, whatever it's called, there were journalists skiing beside him saying, "Why have you cancelled Doctor Who, Mr. Grade?" So I think he realised he had a tiger by the tail.
All right, well, listen, people have been emailing in questions during the week because they knew you were going to be here. I know. This is just, consider this a warm-up. It's a warm-up for when you're on the panel. Claire in Grantham wants to know, what's it like to revisit the Doctor now for the Big Finish audio plays?
Now, the Big Finish audio plays I love doing, because in Big Finish I look exactly the same as I did in 1983, which is a good thing. My voice mercifully hasn't changed much. So the Big Finish would give me the opportunity to take the Doctor in the direction I wanted to go in when we were so rudely interrupted back in the 80s. And I've now done, I think I've possibly done the most Doctor Who stories of any Doctor because of the audio ones, and they are brilliantly done.
Now, you talk about where you wanted to take the Doctor. We had quite a few emails about that because you had a big game plan about where the Doctor would go. So, where were you going to take the Doctor?
Well, the arc was supposed to be that one started off, we don't like this man. He is not our Doctor. Until we peeled the layers away and discovered, in fact, not only was he exactly like all the others and that he was, good to the core, but he was even better. Well, that was the plan anyway. We never really got the chance to do that on television, but we did on audio. And it was quite interesting because I did a story on audio where my new Doctor met my old Doctor, as it were. So the Doctor that I regenerated into met the one as it were, now, if now has any relevance in time travel. And they were quite different, and they talked to each other differently. It's interesting.
My head hurts. And now, you also played the Doctor on stage.
Yes, John Pertwee did a stage play in 1989, and the deal was he did the first 4 months and I did the second 4 months. So I did actually play Doctor Who on stage, yes.
And Darren, final question, Darren in Knockfield, I think this is an interesting question. He's saying, you're such a great ambassador for the programme, and you clearly love it. And yet, I think the fans feel at the time you were treated quite badly. So, in a way, why do you love it so much?
It's a programme I remember very clearly where I was when I saw the first episode, in a flat in Lancaster Gate in London. I arrived just as the theme tune started for the first episode, and I hadn't moved 25 minutes later when it finished. So I remember that very clearly. And I was aware that we were watching something with a room full of law students. We all went, wow, that's something different. So I was hooked on it right at the beginning. I mean, I wouldn't say that I would have gone to a convention, but I've always loved the show. And also, it's given me a career. So what is there not to be grateful for? Yes, I happened to come into the programme at a time when it was under adverse scrutiny, we might say, and the BBC didn't seem to love it at all. I mean, the love that's lavished on the show now, that's what we oldies are envious about. We were very much, Doctor Who, from the upper echelons at the Beeb. But now, I mean, I do remember going to America, and the man who was responsible for distributing the programme in America said to me, "Hey, Colin, when you go back to Great Britain, can you tell Mike Grade we need more Who?" And I said, "You fundamentally misunderstand two things. One is whether I have any access to Mike Grade, and B, that they care about money, because they didn't then. The fact the programme made more than it took didn't seem to percolate through to anybody."
Well, they care now. So thank you very much, Colin Baker, for joining us on Radio 2 to help celebrate the 50th anniversary.
A great pleasure to talk to you.
Graham Norton!
Well, joining me now is Andrew Beech, and he's helped organise this huge celebration of all things Doctor Who. And, you're a fan yourself, so you know what the fans want. What are their kind of priorities? Is it meeting the people?
Very much so, yes. In this sort of celebrity-driven age, they very much want to meet the people who appear on the screen. But in fact, a lot of different sort of factions within fandom, and an awful lot of them are very interested in the production side of things, and indeed Doctor Who very often inspires people to go into television to do things such as special effects, costume design and the like.
All right, we're in a sort of costumey area. Andrew, so what am I looking at?
This particular section is basically the classic monster area, so we've got some things going way, way back, 40-odd years. The oldest thing we have here is the Yeti from the Web of Fear, which are the episodes that were just recently discovered and have just been put out on iTunes. It's obviously a bit crumbly these days, as indeed are we all.
I mean, as an expert, how many hearthrugs would you say are in that costume?
I'd say 9 or 10.
This is a very old-looking Dalek.
Yes. Planet of the Daleks, 1973, that one, yes.
I mean, it is really sweet to see how hokey they used to be, because, they're so high-tech and amazing now.
Absolutely. Still work on the same principles, of course. Little man inside, paddling around with his feet, trying to work the three different proboscises with 2 hands.
Oh, and let's go look at the cars. Now, what's the significance of these cars?
Basically, these are cars used by Sarah Jane. One of them is a convertible Mini Metro, which she used in a spin-off series they made in 1980 called K9 and Company, where they were trying to launch something on the back of the Tin Dog. And just beyond it, there's the Figaro, which she used in the more recent Sarah Jane adventures.
And then, is that the Doctor's car? The old vintage yellow car?
The yellow Edwardian Roadster is Bessie, yes, that's right. First appeared with John Pertwee back in 1970, was used by him, Tom Baker's fourth Doctor, and most recently by Sylvester McCoy, the seventh.
And the costumes come right up to date. That looks like Matt Smith's costume right there.
Yes, we've got a representation of each of the Doctor's costumes with a nice little ring around the car.
Yeah, on the TV show on Friday night, we met a man and he was wearing the tie that David Tennant wears in the 50th episode. And I was like, oh, that's amazing, they're selling them. And David said, no, we just bought it in Debenhams.
I'm afraid that's true, yes. There's an awful lot of off the peg in the new show.
Andrew Beech, thank you very much for joining me on this very special day.
Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, January the 3rd, 1970. And as a new decade dawns, the BBC relaunches Doctor Who. This time in colour, with the story Spearhead from Space, written by Robert Holmes. 8.4 million viewers are watching. Spearhead from Space sees the first appearance of the Doctor, played by John Pertwee.
Channing is controlling your mind. Channing is your enemy. The enemy of the entire human race.
It also sees the debut of the villain known as the Nestine Consciousness and its servants, the Autons.
The Autons will kill us.
Pertwee's debut episode is also significant because it is the first to feature a new format for the show, in which the Doctor is exiled to Earth in the late 20th century by his own people, the Time Lords. Things to note. Due to a BBC strike, it is the only classic Doctor Who story to be shot entirely on film and almost completely on location. It's even been released on Blu-ray, whatever that is.
Right, I'm joined now by Doctor number 7, Sylvester McCoy. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
I do feel sorry for all you doctors because you have such a taxing time at an event like this where you're just bombarded by questions. Do you even understand some of the questions?
No. But you pretend to, you know. There was one question I was asked, like, in America, this guy got up and said, excuse me, doctor, when you were in your third persona, what were you thinking when you opened the TARDIS door onto the planet Thar? And I thought, and of course that was John Pertwee. So I went, yes, well, when I went out to the planet Thar, you know, made it all up, really. And he said, oh, thank you, doctor. And he was very happy and sat down.
Because do the fans get upset when you don't know as much about it as they do?
No, they love it. Oh, and especially, I mean, because what you do is you turn around and say, I have no idea, does anyone know? And of course, hands go up and they get up and they tell you the whole thing, and then we're all asleep by the end of it.
So now, of course, you were the final Doctor of that kind of the old
I was
series.
the one that, killed it off.
Now stop it. You stop that, sir. How did they manage the ending? Did they manage it nicely, or did you just get a note under your door?
Well, no. What happened was I had no idea. They had an idea something was afoot. So we did a rather nice goodbye scene where I wander off with Ace into the woods and we talk about distant planets and cups of tea. But then later on that year, I got a phone call from John Nathan Turner saying, look, I'm just phoning up to tell you I sent you a letter. And I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah, well, I may as well tell you what's in it. And he said, it's going into hiatus. And that was it, really. And we never went back.
And did you kind of wait for the hiatus to end, or did you realise, oh, this is it?
Well, in a way, I realised that this, being an actor, every job ends and you go on to the next. So, oh, well, I've enjoyed that. Let's go on. But it never really ended because the fans demanded it wouldn't.
And, of course, is it true that Doctor Who led directly to Peter Jackson and you being in the Hobbit movies?
Well, in a way, yes, because when I was working with Ian McKellen, he was doing King Lear, and I was playing the fool to King Lear, and we did a world tour with the Royal Shakespeare Company. We went to New Zealand, and he had a party for us. And when we were there, I heard these children say, Peter's got to come. I hope he's going to wear the costume. And then he didn't. And I didn't know what costume it was. And then later on, I found out he had my Doctor Who costume. And they were very disappointed he didn't wear it. Cut to years later, I get the part. No mention of Doctor Who. We do 2.5, 3 years of working together on The Hobbit. We get to the very last scene, my very last scene, and he makes a lovely speech, gives me a little present, and at the end, and then he suddenly says, and I got to work with Doctor Who! And it was amazing. All those years, he kept it quiet, but just at the very end, he got very excited, and he was, it was really touching. And in a way, he was very wise, because if he'd have done that earlier, the kind of status thing might have been a bit different. Yes. He was the boss all the way through. But I mean, if I knew he was a really big Doctor Who fan, I could have, played, hard to get.
Your trailer would have been significantly larger. Yeah. Hey, listen, people have sent in some questions, so let's get to some of them. Yeah. You were in the movie in '96, which presumably everyone thought, oh, that's it, Doctor Who's back. But then it didn't come back. Did you think that was it, done and dusted then? That's from Matt in Dover.
Yeah, no, that was quite disappointing, because the idea was that it would capture America, and then they would make it, continuously, and then every now and again they bring back the old doctors to give Paul McGann a holiday. And so I thought, that'd be cool, but it never worked out.
You do feel sorry. Paul McGann must have just thought, oh, I've got a job for life here now, and then...
Yeah, I mean, he did say he didn't want to be the George Lazenby of Doctor Who, and he ended up, in a way, being it.
You heard it here first.
No, he said it. No, I mean, he's now done that 7-minute, kind of regeneration into John Hurt. Yeah. I mean, that's...
Well, he's the Dark Doctor now or something, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. We'll Google
Listen,
it afterwards.
I didn't know what was going on when I was doing it. I just learned the lines and try to bump into the monsters.
Final question from Clark in Bootle. On screen, what was the defining moment for the Seventh Doctor?
My doctor believed that violence wasn't a strength, it was a weakness in humanity, and that he would try and work out how to succeed without violence. But it got so messed up that he nearly became really violent and then didn't. And I think that was a good moment, because he actually did conquer this violent surge that was coming up inside him. He was being polluted by the earth, but he managed to not.
Well, thanks for suppressing the rage today. Lovely to see you, Sylvester McCoy.
Pleasure.
Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, December the 15th, 1973. And the Doctor, played by John Pertwee, meets Sarah Jane Smith for the first time in the story The Time Warrior, written by Robert Holmes.
I thought all this might give me a good story. I'm a journalist, Sarah Jane Smith.
Sarah's debut episode is significant because it also sees the first appearance of the Sontarans.
I'm placing you under auto-control, Doctor, to ensure your complete cooperation.
And the first mention of the Doctor's home planet, Gallifrey. Things to note. Sarah Jane later appeared in 2 Doctor Who spin-offs, K9 and Company.
I may call you K9.
It is my designation, mistress.
And the Sarah Jane Adventures. Sarah's debut story, The Time Warrior, features a new opening and closing title sequence, designed by Bernard Lodge. The story also introduces the distinctive diamond-shaped Doctor Who logo, which would later be seen on book covers, cereal packets, and even Doctor Who underpants.
Graham Norton.
Finally, some glamour. I am joined by... No, it's been a lot of old men so far. Kate O'Mara. Kate O'Mara is here. Now, you played the... Is it the Rani you played?
That's right. It's Indian for Queen. I'm the Queen of Gasmagoria. And, and she would like to be Queen of the galaxy, every universe. She's very ambitious. She's very hubristic.
Now, I'm reading some of this. I know a lot of it, but I am reading some of it. She was a female Time Lord.
Yep. That's right. One of the very few. I think one of 2.
So when it was offered to you to go into it, were you doing... Was it going to be like a permanent role, or was it a recurring role? How did it happen?
I believe it was written for me by Pippin Jane Baker, who created the role for me. I nearly did an episode of Doctor Who back in 1970 for Douglas Camfield, who said I was the least wet person he'd ever come across. I think that was a compliment.
Yes, it was.
And, but I couldn't do it because I was doing a horror film up at Elstree. But I was very glad to finally be able to get into it in 1985, which was just before I went off to do Dynasty. And then I spent 2 years in Hollywood doing Dynasty, and I really had rather had that. And I got a message to say, would you like to come back and play the Rani? I said, yeah, get me out of here.
Were you not having a good time in Hollywood? You seem so Hollywood.
Really?
You do.
Oh, darling, it's all an act, you know. But, no, I mean, people were very sweet out there. But, you know, I got very tired of the having to look good the whole time, and they're not caring about the acting. Oh, yeah, you're fine. Your performance is fine. But, you know, we're very worried about your lipstick. You know, well, I mean, one can take so much of that and no more. And so it was just nice to come back to a damp, cold, wet sandpit and and getting changed on a bus that with all no curtains in front of about 50 very interested technicians. You know, but that's what you do at the BBC for Doctor Who. But it was, you know, back to reality.
Did it make you feel like an actor again?
Yes. Or an actress, please, Graham.
Oh, are we sorry?
Yes.
I never know where I am.
Well,
with
I
that.
know, darling, but, you know, I'm the old school, as you can see.
So tell me, what is it? Because, you know, you weren't in it very much, and yet the fans are very connected to the Rani. What is it about the Rani that they love so much?
Well, I think it's because she's a combination of male and female. I think she's a very, very, very tough woman. And, you know, the female of the species is deadlier than the male.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's what the attraction is, quite honestly. Because she's ruthless. She's completely ruthless. She has no conscience at all. She's supposed to have been at university with the Doctor. I mean, presumably William Hartnell, I don't know, which must make me 300 and something. But, you know, I'm doing my best. Hair's gone white. And
can I just say, the new hair really suits you. It looks fabulous.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Well, it had to be, you know. Again, reality has to kick in at some
No,
point.
but it looks really good.
Oh, good.
It's fabulous.
Well, it's
I know.
well,
You've
this is
set
very
a trend.
Yes, I have, darling. It's very pretty.
Yeah, well, no, yours is all one. Mine just look like a badger. Now, let's get quickly to some questions from people who they've been emailing in all week. So, Billy in Cheltenham wants to know, what's been the strangest request from a Doctor Who fan in terms of signing something or questions?
I'm not sure that I can repeat it on this programme. No, I mean, well, something quite rude.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you comply?
No.
He wasn't that big a fan.
One has to draw the line somewhere.
And in terms of reaction from fans, where do you get the most reaction? Is it from Dynasty, Triangle, or Doctor Who?
I think the most loyal fans have been from Doctor Who, because I've come out of a matinee at some theatre somewhere, God knows where in England or somewhere else, and there's been a little clutch of fans at the stage door, all Doctor Who fans who've been in to see the matinee. Bless their hearts.
Oh.
And I was in New York recently doing one of these things, and the Americans love Doctor Who. They love it. Oh, Miss O'Mara, they say, it's the Rani. I say, well, actually, it's O'Mara and Rani, but never mind, you know.
Katy, thank you very much for coming in to celebrate the Doctor's 50th anniversary with me. And here's Maria with another important date in the Doctor's diary.
Days of the Doctor.
Friday, November the 25th, 1983. And the BBC celebrates the 20th anniversary of Doctor Who with a feature-length adventure called The Five Doctors, written by Terence Dicks. The story unites the then-current Fifth Doctor, played by Peter Davison, with his predecessors in an adventure which includes many of the Doctor's past and current companions and enemies.
Doctor, we need you. Join us. We must be one.
Sadly, Tom Baker isn't available to participate, and so producer John Nathan Turner elects to use some previously unseen footage of him and Lalla Ward as Romana from the Lost Doctor Who story, Sharda.
Oh, I do love the autumn. All the leaves, the colours.
Yes. Things to note. Viewers in America get to see the episode 2 days before those in the UK. Actor Richard Herndl plays the First Doctor, alongside Carole Ann Ford as his granddaughter Susan. A part I went up for.
Now, this is a big Doctor Who moment, because I am joined by the 4th incarnation of the Doctor, Mr. Tom Baker. Hello. I mean, we're up to Doctor 12 now, but you seem to me to be the best loved of all the Doctors. Now, obviously, you're a marvellous actor, but any other reasons why you are the most loved?
I know it's a mystery, it's a great mystery, and fans never let me down, actually, because it started out being... I started out being loved, and then I put out that really I wouldn't mind a bit of adoration, and then it came adoration, and after that went completely to my head, and after that I asked for a touch of worship, and that came along as well. The fans just wanted to oblige me, you know, and I'm very grateful, yes, very grateful.
And you've been in more Doctor Who episodes than any other Doctor.
Yes.
But in the intervening years, have you always loved it? Have you always thought fondly of it? Or were there times when you wished you hadn't been Doctor Who?
No, I've never. It was the loveliest thing that ever happened to me, and of course I didn't watch Doctor Who when I was in it, because, you know...
you were in it.
Well, that's right. I wanted to just play it. I didn't want to see it. I wanted to play it, and so it boomed along. I can't explain anything at all. Nobody has ever failed. That has to be said. No one ever failed as Doctor Who. And so I think I did the most. And also I had the advantage over my predecessors because all my stuff was in colour. And that helped, I think. Yeah.
And at the BFI, I think there was a Q&A at the BFI, you said back then at the time you actually preferred being Doctor Who to being Tom Baker.
Well, yes, of course I do. But I mean, that's a very common kind of impulse for most people, isn't it? We like to live in our imaginations. I mean, that happens to absolutely everybody. I mean, that's why I suppose that, for example, in what we read, which is kind of an escape, isn't it? That most people actually in Tenterden or Maidstone or whatever are actually interested in murder and mayhem and adultery and betrayal. That's in their imaginations. In their real lives, they want nice neighbours and safe time.
Those are best to pretend, those things.
That's right.
Yes.
So,
yes. Listen, people have emailed in and texted in questions. Sean in Hoxton wants to know, is it true you once wrote a film of Doctor Who that was never made? Did you ever write a script?
Oh, I did, yes, I did. I wrote a script called Doctor Who Meets Scratchman, and it was never made, no, never made. It was terribly sad.
Oh.
Yes.
There's still time. Have you done it for the Big Finish books, the audio play?
No, I haven't done that script, although Big Finish are in possession of that script, so I suppose it might happen, yeah, because I've never stopped being Doctor Who, and I'm now working for Big Finish all the time, and so I'm still playing Doctor Who without having to run about.
And of all the honours that you've had over the years, the Royal Mail stamp, I mean, that must be an amazing thing to happen in your lifetime.
Yes, it was marvellous to be on a stamp, yes, it really was. Yeah.
Well, no, normally you have to be dead to be on a stamp,
well,
or the Queen.
Yeah, it was a funny feeling because I suppose in a way I might get a bit over-imaginative, but I had a feeling that I was being licked all the time.
And that was Alison Penge, one of us asked. Now, the question, Alison and Preston has asked this, but I think everybody wants to know this. It's the question on everyone's lips. Are you in the episode tonight?
Absolutely not.
You're not?
No. Not as far as I know. I mean, they could have cut in other stuff.
I don't know whether to believe you or not.
Well, I don't know whether to believe me or not. I don't know whether to believe you or not. That's the state of the world. Yeah.
So we think you're not in it, but you might be in it.
No, I didn't say that either. I mean, if they want to cut in some stuff from the past, there's an awful lot. I did 178.
Yeah. There's many episodes to be seen. So today, what are you doing? Are you doing panels? Are you doing photographs?
Yeah, panels, palm reading. I'm hearing confessions and laying on of hands and things like that. Yes, anything to please you all. Yeah.
Well, it is very exciting that you're here today. No, it is, because you are the cherry on a big Doctor Who cake. Lovely to see you. Tom Baker, everybody.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, May the 21st, 2005, and Captain Jack Harkness appears with the 9th Doctor and Rose Tyler for the first time. 7.1 million viewers are watching. Captain Jack is a time agent and con man from the 51st century, and his debut story, The Empty Child, is set in London during the Blitz. It's written by future Doctor Who showrunner Stephen Moffat.
Are you my mummy?
In later episodes, Captain Jack is killed by a Dalek and then revived by Rose Tyler using the energy from the TARDIS. Captain Jack is also the first openly non-heterosexual character in the TV series. Woohoo!
Captain Jack Harkness, by the way. Nice to meet you, Davidge Pavel. There's a time and a place.
Things to note. Captain Jack is played by John Barrowman, who would later star in the Doctor Who spin-off series Torchwood. Torchwood is an anagram of Doctor Who. It has been suggested that Captain Jack is also the face of Bo. Oh, come on, it's John Barrowman.
Graham Norton! Joining me now is one of Doctor Who's biggest fans, Toby Hadoke. Now, how big a fan are you?
Well, I've done 2 one-man shows about how much I love it. I've got every episode on DVD. Some people will think they're a proper fan of Doctor Who, and then they'll spend an hour in my company and they'll go, no, I'm just someone with a telly.
You say you've got every episode. Like, do you have days when you just kind of go, today's a Doctor Who day, I'm going to watch them all day?
I did spend the whole of 2000, for a book I wrote with somebody, I'd spent the whole of 2009 watching every single episode in chronological order, 2 episodes a day, 3 at weekends, including 2 on the day that I got married.
Wow. So listen, very exciting. Describe to the listeners, paint a picture with words, as 'twere, Toby, of where we are.
Well, we're in your actual TARDIS, which they've somehow managed to get the central column of the TARDIS and transpose it into a large corporate building, but that's because the Time Lords have special powers. So we're in the actual Matt Smith's TARDIS. If you press too many buttons, we will be whisked into time and space.
So is this the actual TARDIS that Matt Smith uses now?
It's not the one he uses now because he's been through more than one. This is his first one that was made to distinguish it because David Tennant blew his to pieces, and then Matt Smith had this one for a year or so, and then when they moved to HD, they needed to do another one to be worthy of those cameras. So it had another makeover.
HD is not loving this. And finally, how excited are you about this weekend? Is it like Christmas for you?
Well, it's sort of, no, because Christmas you get over and over again. You only get 50 years of Doctor Who once, so I'm extremely happy, and I'm aware that that's probably use of the word happy that means both happy and sad at exactly the same time. But I don't care. This is a one-off, and I'm thrilled to be at the middle of it.
Toby Hadoke, thank you very much for showing me around on this very special day.
Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, June the 16th, 2007. And the Master returns to Doctor Who in the David Tennant episode Utopia, written by Russell T. Davies. In the story, the Master uses a chameleon arch to hide as Professor Yana, portrayed by Sir Derek Jacobi. He later regenerates into a new incarnation of the evil Time Lord, played by John Sim.
Citizens, rejoice! Your Lord and Master stands on high, playing track 3.
The Master first appeared in Doctor Who in 1970, played by Roger Delgado.
I am usually referred to as the Master. Oh, is that so?
His second major incarnation was portrayed by Anthony Ainley, from 1981 to 1989.
Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully. The message that follows is vital to the future of you all.
Things to note. The Master's cover, Professor Yana, is an acronym for You Are Not Alone. The dying words of the face of Bone.
Well, now, much excitement. It's like history's walked into the room, ladies and gentlemen. Doctor Who royalty. It is the Doctor's first companion, William Russell, and with William Russell, the Doctor's first, only granddaughter, Carole Ford. And it's hard to believe you were both in the first episode that was broadcast 50 years ago tonight.
That is true.
It's hard for us to believe it, I think.
Because it must be weird. When you go into a museum and you see like a toaster you had as a kid that's an exhibit now, I mean, your history, which it must be a very odd feeling.
Are you saying we should be in museums?
Well, we're in a museum of sorts. I mean, we are in this extraordinary temple to Doctor Who.
What I love is the way fans come up very sweetly for an autograph and they look at you and they say, "Are you all right? How are you?" "Oh, I'm fine, thank you, dear."
And do you have memories of the first episode? Because for both of you as actors, it was a big deal to be, to get a big telly job like that.
Oh, yes, it was indeed. I had just played a minute part in the big movie that John Sturgis did in Munich. And So I was feeling quite cocky, really. It's like,
yes, of course you got the part. Yes,
of course I got the part. And but it was when we were rehearsing, because we went straight from today to the Stone Age. In the story,
yes.
You know, the first age was the Stone Age, and of course I and a lot of other actors were all gathered around rehearsing, and we were making laughing jokes about this and everything. But during that, I suddenly realised, as I watched them, that they were really serious, and it was wonderful. It was a transformation for me.
Well, the fact that we're being dripped upon, you know, because it was a very leafy rehearsal, you know, everything in the cause of reality.
Yeah. Yes. Now, you've had another extraordinary thing happen this week, because on Thursday night, Mark Gatiss' drama, which was called An Adventure in Space and Time, was broadcast.
Yes.
In which you both had cameos in it.
That's right.
Which was, that's just an actor's job. But then, very odd, you had to watch people playing you.
Oh, creepy. Very bizarre. Very, very bizarre.
Who played you?
Claudia Grant, I think it is.
Yes,
girl,
Claudia Grant, yes.
Yeah.
And who played you, William?
I can't remember his name.
Oh, Jamie Glover. I went to drama school with him.
Jamie Glover.
Yeah, Jamie Glover, yes.
Ah, well,
yes.
that's it.
Marvellous actor, marvellous actor.
He is a very good actor, yes. But I didn't think he had a really sort of fair chance, in a way. I wanted to give him a bit more to do.
They didn't have a great deal of you, did they?
And did Mark Gatiss talk to the two of you about your memories?
Oh, yes.
Yes, we had...
He was very particular.
Yes.
And we were both wined and dined
at the Ivy Club,
the Ivy
which
Club.
was very, very nice.
Very, very
Smell
nice.
you.
Oh, yes.
And let's get to some questions people have sent in. Pete in Poole asked a question for you, William. How surprised are you to witness the success of Doctor Who today?
No, it hasn't surprised me at all.
Was it an instant hit? That first episode, was it an instant hit?
For me, it was. It was, yes.
But what about viewing figures and stuff?
I can't remember how many million people watched it.
But I know that there were 10 million at one time. I don't know immediately, because we had to sort of, word of mouth around. But we didn't have much competition. There were only 2 channels. There was nothing else out there. They had to look at. And in between the football results and Top of the Pops, Jukebox Jury, wasn't it? That's right. Yeah.
Dear. Carole Ann Ford, Elaine in Battersea has a question for you. Were you disappointed not to play the role of Susan in the Peter Cushing film, Doctor Who and the Daleks? Actually, there'd be no talk of Peter Cushing today. Peter Cushing, of course, did the film, yeah. Were you disappointed not to be in it?
Well, it wasn't possible. None of us could be in it because we were rehearsing. We were working
We were still
on the
working.
programme.
They were making the film while we were working.
And also they played Susan as very much younger. I think she was about 11 in the film, wasn't she?
Oh, right. I must confess, I haven't seen the film.
No.
Television purist. What else have we got? William, Craig in Derry. Apparently, you were supposed to be in an episode, Mordrin Undead, set at a boys' school with Peter Davison. But it didn't happen. Did you know this?
I didn't know that. No.
Oh.
But I have heard something about this fact that I had been offered a part, but I wasn't in the country.
Curses.
That was what happened. I mean, I never got it.
Is it very strange when you sit on these panels and you meet the people? I mean, because they do know so much about your lives.
Certainly.
More than we do.
Yes. Very
yeah.
frequently they remind you of things.
Well, I suppose you didn't know to remember it because you didn't know it was going to... You were still going to have to talk about it 50 years later.
I just wish I was making a diary at the time, of all the things that were going on. You just don't think you're going to need it, do you?
No, you really don't.
No.
Yeah. And now, do you still watch the show, the two of you?
Occasionally I watch it, yes.
Yes.
And are you going to be sitting down tonight to watch the big 50th?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Certainly.
Can't wait.
Were you kind of hoping the call might come? Because you did cameos. You did cameos in the Mark Gatiss show.
Yeah.
Perhaps we get another one. You think?
Yes, you're thinking.
I was desperately hoping the call might come.
Stephen Moffat, he plays cruel mind games with actors, doesn't he?
Yes, he's a very cruel man.
No, because of the time thing, anything can happen.
That's right.
You can die, you can come back. Yes, it's all there. Well, listen, I'm sure there'll be another 50 years of it, so the call may come.
You should come on in my Zimmer frame.
William Russell,
game
Carole Ann
friendly.
Ford, how extraordinary to meet you both. What a lovely thing to be able to say that you were in the very first episode.
thank
Ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause. Go on, do.
Thank you.
Now, here's Maria with another important day for the Doctor.
Days of the Doctor.
Saturday, May the 14th, 2011. And the Doctor sees his TARDIS in a whole new light in the episode The Doctor's Wife, written by Neil Gaiman. Almost 8 million viewers are watching.
We travel. I go.
The episode is significant because it depicts the Doctor's TARDIS in human form, as portrayed by Suran Jones, and offers revelations about their long-time relationship.
The Tard.
Time and relative dimension in space. Yes, that's it. Names are funny. It's me.
The word TARDIS has made it into the Oxford English Dictionary and is defined as a time machine, a building or container that is larger inside than it appears to be from the outside. Things to note. The Doctor's TARDIS is most commonly referred to as Type 40. One of its features is the ability to blend into its surroundings once landed. But to do this, the TARDIS requires a fully functioning chameleon circuit. It really is bigger on the inside, by the way.
You are listening to a broadcast from the inferior human, Graham Norton, on BBC Radio 2.
Well, I'm backstage with the 5th Doctor now, Peter Davison. He was Doctor from, was it 81 to 84?
81 to 84, yeah, that's right.
So how many episodes are you in?
Oh, don't ask me those questions. It's about, I suppose, roughly 70-something. Yeah, so any idea? Yeah, 70-something. We were hit by strikes. It should have been, I think, 26 episodes a season, but we were cut down on one because of BBC just walked out.
Is this one of these things where the story changed because of the strike? Did I read about that once?
Well, we lost one of our stories, and one of our stories we started with one cast, and then we stopped, hit by the strike, and we had to restart with another cast.
Okay. You should probably gen up on all this stuff because people will be asking these questions. Now, what's your involvement over these 3 days? Are you signing autographs? Is that your job?
We're signing autographs, although I believe there are 20,000 people here, so I don't think we're going to get through all of them. And I think we're doing what you call a panel, which is where people ask us questions, rather like you're doing, and we don't know the answers. What I normally do in these panels is we'd simply throw it back at the audience because they know much more about it than we do.
They really do, don't they? Like, the detail is quite frightening how much they know. Talking of audience, we've had people texting in during the week for questions for you. So, here we go. Francis lives in Guernsey. It's a lovely part of the world. Lots of time for watching television. It's quite cosy here on our couch. At Christmas, do you all sit down and watch? Do you watch Doctor Who?
I do watch Doctor Who. I have 2 sons who are now 12 and 14, and so I sit down with them. Yes, I'm pretty up to date, actually, with Doctor Who.
And presumably when you got the part in, was it 81, did you know how big a deal it was?
Oh, yeah. I was the first Doctor who grew up watching Doctor Who. So to me, I was being offered a part that was a childhood hero of mine. It was, in fact, I think looking back on it, I was virtually in shock for the first 3 or 4 days. I didn't say yes straight away. And I had to think about it because I just couldn't quite come to terms with it. I think I always knew deep down I would say yes to it, but it's just a very strange thing. I'd often thought about being in Doctor Who since I became an actor. Never dreamt in a million years I'd actually be offered the part.
And were you slightly gutted when they announced Matt Smith and you realised you were going to lose your crown as the youngest ever Doctor?
No, people say that. No. I tell you, I was very happy because I always felt at the time that I was a bit young to play the part. I'd grown up with older Doctors. And what's happened since the series came back and the Doctors got younger is that I have seemed less and less out of place in the whole scheme of things. It's almost now like I started a trend.
And also, you're one of those actors, you carry the Doctor Who mantle with you, but it hasn't held you back. You've been in a gazillion other things. How is, what is it about? Is it just that you're a very good actor? or what? Why is it that some people don't move on?
I'd never say that. No, obviously I had a huge advantage in that I was already known for All Creatures Great and Small. And I only did 3 years. I think that's, Patrick Troughton said to me before I started, just do 3 years and then move on. And I think that helped a great deal. I was lucky when I left. I remember going up for quite a big part in a BBC Two classic series, and I know the producer told me later that they sat and hummed and hawed for a couple of days about whether they should offer the part to me, because would people look at me and think Doctor Who? In the end, they decided to offer me the part, and it kind of broke, that spell that might have been there. Who knows?
And now, listen, you must talk about this, the Fish Doctor. The Fish Doctor. Now, is this your idea?
The Fish Doctor, yes. It's a kind of it's sort of abbreviation, a slightly cryptic abbreviation of actually what it is. It's just an idea. I was asked at a convention last year, and this is all I'll say about it really. They said, "Are you in the 50th anniversary show?" And I said, "I don't think we will be, but if we're not, I'm damn well going to make my own."
And that's what you've done. Now, is it on the? It's on the red button tonight.
It's on the red button tonight, and I think also, hopefully, available on the Doctor Who website or the BBC website for anyone that's outside of the country, because I've had lots of sort of messages sent to me from people in America who are desperately worried they won't be able to see it. I just thought it would be fun to do something that definitely involved the Doctors who may be missing from the 50th anniversary special.
Cruelly looked over.
Yes, that's right. Not deemed worthy.
Oh, now stop it!
No.
Stop
I'm
that.
just re-quoting somebody. That's not what I said. Somebody.
Who said that?
No, I'm not telling you that. You'll have to look it up.
Get googling. And finally, Christopher Norwich, and this is a sweet question: are you happy to be remembered as the Fifth Doctor?
Oh yes, absolutely. As long as it's not only as long as producers offer and directors offer me other parts, I'm very happy to be remembered as the Fifth Doctor.
Well, enjoy your weekend, Peter Davison. Thank you very much for joining Radio 2 in celebrating the Doctor's 50th anniversary.
Days of the Doctor.
Friday, October the 11th, 2013. It's announced that 9 missing episodes of 1960s Doctor Who have been found at a TV station in Nigeria. Sadly, the BBC routinely destroyed many of the sci-fi drama's original transmission tapes in the 1960s and 70s. Significantly, the Hall of Found episodes includes most of the classic Patrick Troughton story, The Web of Fear. It's the one with the Yeti in the underground. Although many stories from the William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton years are still lost, fans of the series can relive them, because the soundtracks for the missing episodes have all been commercially released.
Something strange has happened. We're suspended in space.
Things to note. The latest find means that the number of lost episodes of Doctor Who has dropped from 106 to less than 100. Fans are still hoping that missing episodes from classic stories The Myth Makers, The Power of the Daleks and Fury from the Deep will turn up soon to be enjoyed again. Fingers crossed, eh, Doctor?
Save the day. The day of the Doctor.
Happy birthday, Doctor. And don't forget, you can hear Russell Tovey present the 90-minute special, Who is the Doctor, on the iPlayer. It's marvellous, I'm told. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little download. If you did, you might, and I use the word carefully, you might enjoy next week's. I'll be catching up with singer-songwriter Gabrielle. I'll be having that with Philomena Lee, who inspired Dame Judi Dench's new film, Philomena. You can see the connection. And I chat to the one and only Sir Cliff Richard. Goodbye for now.
This was a download from
BBC Radio 2.
For more information, go to bbc.co.uk/radio2.